All right, guys, today is Tuesday, May 23rd, and this is the last call in our boot camp series. I'm super excited that we've been able to touch on such important topics and that they are recorded. As you get new team members to join your team, as you move on forward in your Wild Tree business and you need a little refresher, those recordings will be available to you always. So I might even go back and put all the recordings into one nice little bundle, and that way they can all be like in a Google Doc or someplace super accessible so that you can just have all 5 calls in one spot and watch the ones you need to watch again. So just to refresh, the first call was on building a team building, and learning to have your perfect pitch and being completely unafraid to offer people a cookie, and not being scared to offer this amazing opportunity. Obviously, you're all here. Somebody offered it to you. So it's always nice to return the favor and offer it to all the other people you run into, because you never know who may want the cookie. And it's also super important not to get upset when people don't take your offer on the cookie. It has nothing to do with you. So the second call was on bookings and maximizing your calendar so that you can have the calendar that you desire, whether that be 1 party a month or 8 to 9 parties a month. The third call was on systems, right? Staying organized, I think. Oh, now I'm forgetting what the third call was on. Do you remember, Jessica? No, you don't remember? Well, the third call was really good. I'm having a part. Can't remember what it was on. But it was a really good one. I think it was on, I think it was on follow-up and systems and that kind of thing. And hostess coaching, for sure. It was definitely on that. So those are all super important, especially as you get started here with Wild Tree. The last 2 calls, the call last week and today, are a little bit more geared towards people that are team building, but they could be super relevant to anyone in Wild Tree, anybody that does want to team build. Last week's call was on onboarding and having an effective onboarding process, and just understanding how that works, and that's super important as you gain new team members. Your upline leader will be in charge of onboarding in the beginning, and then after modeling that to you, you'll be handed the reins on that. Today's call is a little 3-topic and kind of rolled up into one. Today is on personal development and systems for staying organized as a leader here, and coaching calls. So those are 3 super hot topics, and so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. I do want to put a quick plug in for National Conference. Of all the conferences that we've ever had in Wild Tree in the last 10 years, this is the most important one to be at. I know we've said they're super important regardless, but this one is the most important because of the drastic turn for the positive and for the better that Wild Tree is taking. It's so exciting. We have so many new things planned, so many things that are literally going to launch our businesses to whole new levels and whole new heights. And the people that come to conference are just going to have a one-up edge over the people that aren't coming to conference. It's a great investment of your time and money. And literally the couple $100s that you're going to spend at conference, you're going to turn right back around as you fill up your calendar for the fall. So it's super, super affordable when you look at it that way and break it up into chunks. So I definitely wanted to plug that. Another thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned is that your role as a leader, because this call is geared more towards leaders or people that want to be leaders, a lot of people go, oh my gosh, I'm not really sure if leader would be for me. I don't really know if I have the time or the ability to do things here. So I just want to reassure you that I believe that everybody in our organization could be an effective leader here at Wild Tree, and we have all the tools and resources you need, and there's really not a whole lot more that you need to do in order to be a leader here. That you're going to continue to have your to team build, you're going to continue to get bookings and have a full calendar, and you're going to continue to learn systems to stay organized. The only 2 layers that get added to that when you become a leader are onboarding and these next 3 little mini topics: personal development, systems for staying super organized, and coaching calls. So once you kind of have that all wrapped up in your head, it's really, really not that hard, and it's really not that much time. I still work very much part-time as a director here with Wild Tree. I probably work in my office about 20 hours a week versus having a full-time job, and I'm making a full-time paycheck. So that is important for you to understand. So the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is personal development. Personal development is something that's so important, and it's something that Wild Tree has recognized as being super important over the last couple of years. We've hired a great personal development coach, Jennifer Robinson, a couple of years back, and she's been able to train a lot of us who've been here for a little while on some great personal development tools that are being used in our Wild Tree business, but also in our everyday personal lives as well. I know that I have grown as a person, and I'm super grateful for Wild Tree for giving me that training for essentially for free. So that's been really, really nice. But personal development is so important as you want to grow here with Wild Tree. An analogy that Sonara used the other day was, when we start our Wild Tree businesses, our brains are kind of taken back into like adolescence. So a lot of us have all these little fears that creep in. Oh my gosh, do these people like me? Oh my gosh, am I sounding too salesy? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to be pushy. I don't know if I want to be this. And our brains literally revert to a teenager, to 13 years old, where you have all this angst and I'm not sure, and I'm not comfortable here because it's something new. It's something brand new, and maybe something that you're not used to doing. So in order to be successful here, you really can't not have personal development. Some examples of personal development are Rob Dial. We are going to have a webinar with him in just an hour. So hopefully you're all going to be able to stay tuned for that or see the replay on that webinar. That's specifically for Wild Tree. But you can download his podcast on your phone. Everybody that has an iPhone, there's a little podcast app. It's purple. It came with your phone. You may have deleted it from your phone, but put it back on your phone. It's free. You can download his podcast, and he does a Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcast. They're quick. They're like 8 minutes long. So when I'm brushing my teeth and blow drying my hair in the morning, I can just stick my headphones in, keep one out, and hear the kids, and just make sure that I'm just getting a little pumped up for the day. His Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcasts are very motivational and just really cut to the point. He does not hold back. He tells you like it is and doesn't beat around the bush. So it is really, really effective and has really helped my confidence here over the last couple of years. Another thing you want to be sure you're doing is reading. There are some great books. The One Thing is a good one. Rory Vaden is coming to our national conference. He's got lots of great books. Don't Take the Stairs, Procrastinate on Purpose. There are lots of great books by him, so I would highly recommend checking those out. Amazon. There's just a ton of resources, and if you need more book titles, I can throw a bunch at you. I'm never not reading a book, and I do that every single night before I go to bed. I just read a few pages, and that keeps my brain super fueled for all things business-wise and personal life as well. And a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this. Yet you binge watch like Walking Dead, or you constantly are watching Netflix every single night. So we kind of recommend maybe not binging on those kinds of things, maybe binge on some personal development. And that probably will get you along further in life than The Walking Dead will. So that's something just to consider, some food for thought. This job is really not hard. It's really easy. We all love the fact that Wild Tree can be super helpful to our families, to our community's families. The thing that is hard are the hang-ups that people have, the insecurities that hold you back. Those are the things that are hard. That's why you need the personal development, because when you write down what we do on paper, it's really not that hard. Wild Tree does all the busy work for you. We don't have to come up with any recipes. We don't have to do any food science at home. We don't have to do all that. It's all given to us on a nice silver platter, and we just get to share it with others. That's really not hard when you boil it down to that. The thing that's hard are the hang-ups and insecurities that people have. So anyways, let me see what else. That is, I think, all in my notes on personal development. Any questions? Jessica, what about you? Any personal development that you would can speak to or comments?
I don't have any comments. No, I like the idea of finding a good book though for personal and business development.
Yeah.
Get some book ideas.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll share on the tribe a list of some titles if I can remember off the top of my head. At our recent leadership retreat, we did a book exchange, and I brought all my books with me, and a bunch of people took them. So I don't have them at my fingertips, but I'll try and brainstorm a list and put it together for people here. They have really kept me fueled over the last 5 years. And once I started reading those before I went to bed, I really can't imagine doing anything else now. So, and then when I go on vacation, I read fun books. So anything else, comment or add? Would you agree that personal development, getting out of your own head is important? Jessica?
Yeah, sure.
I know I'm putting you on the spot since you're the only one here.
Yeah, definitely, because we have to try new things, and for sure.
Yeah, right. And once you try some new things and you realize that it's not hard or people aren't going to judge you for that, then everything you'll start to build that confidence and everything will really fall into place for you. So, okay, well, we'll move on to the next topic. And the next topic, I think I can't decide what I want to do next. If I want to do coaching calls or systems, I'm trying to think of what would be the most effective one to do. I'll go with coaching calls. Okay. So coaching calls, what are they? When do you do them? What are they about? That kind of thing. So, who do I even call? Some of you that are new here that may only have 1 or 2 team members, you're probably like, well, what am I supposed to be doing with that? So coaching, or some of you might have pretty big teams here and you really haven't been doing effective coaching calls. So hopefully this will help you too. So who do I call, when, how much? So you want to break it down into calls into like different categories. So the first role as a person that is bringing in new people would be those onboarding calls, brand new reps. So you're definitely going to have a lot of scheduled calls with a brand new rep. You're actually going to have more scheduled calls with a brand new rep than you might say somebody that promotes a team leader in your team or that kind of thing. So the very brand new person really is going to need a little bit of hand holding, and you're going to want to really keep in contact with them. So you've got your onboarding call, and then you never want to go more than like 5 days in between when somebody onboards and when you check back in with them. And then that's going to be a continuous cycle, like every 3 to 5, maybe 6 days on a regular basis for the first few weeks in their Wild Tree business. That's just because there's just a lot to do to get started, and they're going to have a lot of questions. You don't want too much time to gap in between that when they start, and there's just a lot to do, and you want to kind of keep track of them. So when a brand new rep, you're going to want to, let's say you called them on a Wednesday, then you're going to want to check back in first thing on Monday. Okay, so you're constantly in your calendar penciling them in for whenever you say the next time agreed upon time that you're going to chat with them will be. Okay, so that's a brand new rep. And then you're going to know pretty quickly when you're able to let go. You may end up doing a regular weekly call with them for their first couple of months here, even in Wild Tree. It's really just dependent on the rep and what they need personally. Some people need a little bit more hand-holding than others, and some people have a little bit more direction that they want to go with their business than other people. But in the beginning, that's what you're going to do with a brand new rep. Now, let's see, everyone else is kind of like on an as-needed basis. So when you would do a coaching call with other people on your team, if somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, you know what, Maria, I really would like to kick my business up a notch. I think I'd like to take this to a little bit more of the next level. I'd love to start making more of an income here with Wild Tree, and I'd love to just have you coach me through that. I would put that person on a coaching call, a weekly coaching call, like on a scheduled time. So a scheduled day and time that we can agree upon. And I know that I'm talking to Jessica, for example, every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and we're going to connect and we're going to talk about all the things and actions that we talked about the previous week. We're going to talk about them the following week. And that's who you would put on like a weekly coaching call. Otherwise, and you kind of want to set the tone, and I probably haven't been good at this in the past, but you want to make sure you set the tone that these coaching calls aren't ongoing forever, that they're going to be about 4 to 6 weeks. Because after about 4 to 6 weeks, that person should either be off and running, or they need to back it up a little bit, do some personal development, get out of their own head. If things aren't really progressing forward as they should be, then that's when I can't really help anymore. They need some personal development and some brain health, and that's the thing that I am not a psychologist or a therapist. So those kinds of things, something might be holding somebody back if they're not progressing forward. And that's when I would say, okay, let's take a time out. It's been 6 weeks. Let's see where you're at. If you're not really at where you really want to be, then let's just do some personal development and touch base in a month or so. So that's that kind of person. A lot of people I'll do coaching calls with for 4 to 6 weeks, and then they're good to go, and then they just text me. They're on their way, things are rocking and rolling, and then we kind of just touch base when somebody needs to touch base. If somebody says, hey, Maria, I'd love to just chat, pick your brain about something real quick. Do you have time at 1 o'clock on Monday? Then yes, if I've got the time in my schedule, then we'll agree and we'll meet, or we can just do everything via text. So that's what coaching calls entail. So you've got new reps, people that want to move their business forward, and people that just are going to be touching base on an as-needed basis. Does that make sense? Let me see if I've done that. If you've been, I think I've already said this, but if you've been touching base with somebody for about 6 weeks and they aren't rocking and rolling, that's when you have to get tough and put a little tough love and have a really, really good heart-to-heart with that person and kind of let them know that things should be progressing forward after that amount of time in their business. And if they aren't, then you just have to have that tough conversation and say, hey, let's really take a look at what's getting in your way. And that really may not have anything to do with Wild Tree at all. So don't be afraid to have those conversations with people because you just don't want to be wasting either of your time spent together on the phone. You also want to have some sort of way of keeping track. And this is great because it's a great segue for the next part of this call. So you want to have a good way of keeping track of where you are at with everybody. And I've been horrible about this in the past, maybe because I haven't been trained right from the get-go, but now everybody can join or can skill up in certain areas. And this is something that I am skilling up in, is keeping track of the people you're having coaching calls with so that you can remember what it was that your last conversation was about so that you can hold them accountable on the next week's call. So how do I do that? Originally, I thought I'd have like a notebook or a folder with notes or something like that, but I've found that our lives are just a little bit too mobile and I'm on the go a little bit too much. So I've downloaded the app called OneNote. It's on my phone and it's down at the toolbar on my computer. I love it. You can get it on Macs or PCs, and it's great because it has folders in it. So I can keep a folder for new reps. I can keep a folder for leaders in training. I can keep a folder for my current leaders. I can keep a folder for reps, more experienced reps on my team, just depending on where they're at. I can keep a little folder for them. I can go into that folder and just start typing notes while we're on the phone together. If I'm in the car and we're on the phone together, I can put them on speaker and just type away and type right from my phone and just put in little blurbs like, I'm just going to use an analogy, or not analogy. I'm going to use just a for example. If I was talking to Maria, She is joined us now. Hey, Maria. And we had a coaching call, and she said, oh, you know what? I was going to talk to my friend Chrissy about joining Wild Tree. We're going to meet up at the coffee shop on Thursday. I'm so excited to share Wild Tree with her. I'm also going to connect with 5 girls who told me that they really wanted to book a party this summer. And now that we have Double Free in June, I really am going to try hard to connect with them and pin them down for a date. Since they said summertime, this is the perfect opportunity. So when I connect with Maria the next time, I'm going to put in meeting with Chrissy at coffee shop, connecting with 5 hostesses about booking for June. And when we talk, I can bring that up, and I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to hold accountable. So how did the coffee date go with Chrissy? How did those conversations go with those hostesses that wanted to book in the summertime? That way she knows that I remember all of that, and it's like, oh, I didn't do that. And then I can say, okay, I've given you a week. What happened or what got in your way? And I'm not doing that to like be a bulldog or bully somebody. It's really just a way to hold people accountable with what they're saying they're going to do. And I can always give people a free pass. It's okay. I know that life happens. Trust me on that. So many things can happen in a week, and some people get bombs dropped on them after our coaching calls, and that's okay. But if that continues to happen week after week, then I have to stop and have that hard conversation with that person and say, okay, we talked about you doing this. You aren't doing this. What's getting in your way? And maybe it's time to do some personal development and end our coaching calls for now. So that's super important, is to stay organized and have a system for taking notes. It's totally fine if you want to do like a typical like little notepad or legal pad and you want to keep track of people that way. I definitely felt like I was a more pen and paper person, but guess what? I'm not even doing the pen and paper thing. So the OneNote is going to be a lifesaver for me, because it seems like 9 times out of 10, I'm either in my car on my phone where I can pull up OneNote, or I'm at my desk talking, or I'm at my house and I'm kind of looking at my computer screen anyway, and I can just type up some notes there and keep everything in a nice little folder, and it's going to be a piece of cake. So does that make sense? Awesome. So look into OneNote. I think other people have told me that Evernote is a good app too. I think they're similar. Same thing. Okay, so that is leading me into systems for organization. This is going to be the last topic for today. Before I move on, Jessica or Maria, do you have questions about what I just went over? Or comments? All right. Okay, so systems for staying organized. This is everyone's favorite topic, I think, especially for people that are moving their businesses forward. I think when new reps get started, they don't really have a system for anything yet. They don't really need to keep track of a whole lot. They have a handful of parties, and now that Wild Tree's made that super simple to keep track of on the computer and things like that, there isn't really a whole lot to keep track of in the beginning. But as your business moves forward, it's like, oh my gosh, you're moving a million directions, and you've got to have systems for keeping things organized, because like I said, the business is really simple. So don't make life harder on yourself. So the first things first, when you need to keep track of recruits. So if you're moving your business forward here and you're becoming a leader or wanting to be a leader here, you have got to be team building. And you're all leaving people behind and in the cracks if you aren't writing down the people that are somewhat interested in your Wild Tree. Here, let me show you mine. Again, I'm probably going to change this to OneNote, but for now, I absolutely do have a system for keeping track of the people that may want to join Wild Tree. So right now, I keep it all in a folder. So the front of my folder, and I know it's so screwy, but I'm a manila folder person. So a lot of people have a notebook. I've got folders. So the front of my folder is all my recruit leads. You can see that my funnel is almost full. This started at the beginning of the year. This started in 2017 only. And now I need to get a new folder because that's completely filled now. I'm constantly writing down the names of people that just have mentioned in passing, mentioned at a party that I met, that they have some interest in hearing more about Wild Tree. So I write them down right away. And then I can write down when I texted them or called them or we had another conversation or whatnot. I keep track of all that communication right there, because the worst thing to happen is to go, oh my gosh, when is the last time I talked to Sarah? I met her in a party in January. Shoot, did I talk to her in March? Have I connected with her at all? You're going to totally lose track unless you write down when the last time you communicated with that person was and maybe what that conversation entailed. And I never cross anybody off until they join my team or they flat out tell me no. Like no, like for real, no. Like no, not now. Or maybe they say no, not now, but connect with me later. I don't cross them off. I just write down, well, I'm going to connect with you in 6 months. Okay, so this is a huge perk to moving your business forward, is keeping track of the people you're connecting with. So you have to do that in order to stay organized. Again, I'm going to probably create a separate folder in OneNote where I start keeping track of the people going forward instead of my folder. So you have to have a recruiting notebook. You need to have a legal pad, again, an online system for keeping track, or you're just going to go bananas. The next thing is keeping track of the same thing for bookings. So inside my folder, see, it's kind of organized, right? Inside my folder were my booking leads. These are the people that are totally good for it. Like they said at a party, yes, I definitely want to host, but maybe not till fall. Or yes, I want to host, but catch me at double free. Yes, I want to host, but catch me when. You know, these people were like, yep, sounds good. Let's just connect on that. So here is my list. And I write down, again, our conversations, when the last time I connected with them was, where they're at now. Like I've got a girl who keeps telling me her kitchen remodel. It's just taking forever. And she's like, connect with me next month. Connect with me next month. Please, I promise I'm doing this. Just connect with me next month. So unless I would have written that down, I would have totally forgotten about her. I'm going to be honest. It would have totally slipped me by. Please never feel like, even if you feel like your business is minor and small compared to mine or somebody else's, please do not feel like you can keep everything in your head. The more that you put things down on paper and create a system for yourself, oh my gosh, the more freeing and more organized and better you're going to feel about things. I know in the beginning I kept thinking, oh, I'll for sure remember that Rebecca wants to have a workshop, because I only have like 3 people that told me they want to have a workshop. You just write the 3 people down and see how good that feels. Trust me. It's good if you can just start from the beginning that way. So that's the first thing, is you want to keep track of recruits. The second thing, keep track of your bookings. The third thing is keeping track of your customer care. Now, the way I keep track of my customer care is through manila folders, and that's not changing for me because it works beautifully for me. I know I've talked about this, and I think on our call number 3 about staying organized, but I use the 222 follow-up system, or it's 3 2s, 222 follow-up system, and I've got folders for every single host. So there you can see the host name, you can see the time of her workshop, you can see what the bundles are that she's offering at her workshop, and inside the folder are all of her customer care forms and order forms. So those are all right here, right inside my folder, and any other notes I can write inside, like if the hostess is making a certain menu or, you know, whatever it is for her snacks, I can write that on there. And that way I've got this for her. Now, I really like what Abby Leffert's done, is she's actually written on the front of her folders when her 222 follow-up system will be. So she'll actually write on her folder, like 2 days after the workshop is this date, 2 months is this date, or 2 weeks is this date, and 2 months is this date. So she'll write that on the front of her folder. I actually do something a little bit different. I write it in my planner, because my planner is my Bible. So I'll write down, as soon as somebody books a workshop with me, you guys, I mark the heck, or a party, I don't care what you're doing, I mark the heck out of my planner. So my planner, literally the day that Susie books a workshop with me, I literally write in the day I'm going to send her invitation out, the day I'm going to remind her group, the day I'm going to do my follow-up, the day I'm going to send the group their shopping list reminder email, the 2 days before the workshop quick reminder email, the 2 days post-workshop follow-up text or email, the 2-week follow-up text or email, the 2-month follow-up text or email. Every single thing that that is required, every bit of communication with that group is written right in my planner. So when I wake up every single day, I just look at my planner and it tells me what to do that day. And some of those tasks take 30 seconds and I'm done. And that's a super easy day because everything was just written down and lickety split. So that is how I suggest staying organized if you like folders. Some of you may have a different system, but I can only share my experience and what I'm doing. And I haven't heard anybody that has some other outrageously amazing system. So this is mine. But you do want to have the 222 follow-up system in place because it's really going to help you keep track of your customers and give them the best follow-up care. Now, I like to book all of my parties at my parties. I probably book about 70% of my parties at my events, and I probably do about 30% via the follow-up and connecting with people. So the biggest thing is to get your calendar full so that you can be in that same position. And if you're new around here, getting your calendar full is just using your contact list of 100 and circling through those people until you have about 6 events on the calendar, and then things rock and roll from there. And you book at your events. So that is how I keep track of my customer care. Let's see. Any questions about systems? So that's all it is. Once you become a leader here, you're really only adding 2 more jobs to your plate. Job number 1 is onboarding new people. And job number 2 is doing coaching calls with those people. Everything else is stuff that you should have been doing anyways. So a lot of people are nervous about the time and commitment, and it's not very big when you boil it down. Do you guys have any comments? Was I that thorough?
I thought it was really good. You know, the keeping track of your workshops, I think I posted this to the tribe that I have this page that I use that I have all my dates so that it's kind of like your folder system, but it's just printed out.
Okay.
And it's really helpful to be able to keep track of exactly. So when you have more than a few workshops going on, it's just really easy to keep track. Okay, on this date, this is what I do on this date. All the dates are listed. All of the post communications, the menus, and all the follow-ups are just listed on this one. So then you can just put this in the Manila folder after with all the customer care forms.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it just keeps it all straight. So I think I posted that in the tribe as well at one point. I found that really helpful, and it's all on one page.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Yep. Create a system that's going to keep your mind at ease. And that way you can take away the clutter and you're not going to go, oh my gosh, did I forget to send a grocery list? Did I forget to do this? Did I forget to do that? If you've got it all written down into a plan, then you're not going to forget anything. And you can just rest assured and not be worrying at 2 o'clock in the morning, popping up out of bed. Oh, I forgot to do this. So, good point. All right. All right, well, I am super excited to see a lot of you at National Conference this year. If you haven't booked your hotel or plane or gotten registered, I hope that you highly consider it and realize that we're going to meet a whole new gang of people that are running WildTree and doing the most awesome, beautiful things for us. So that we all can maximize our income here and maximize our time. We're going to all be able to spend less time making more money. And I think that probably excites a lot of you. So please join us so that you can get the firsthand experience. I am not the best at regurgitating everything that's going to happen at National Conference to everyone, to the masses. I'll try and do my best, but you're better off spending just a little bit of money and getting that payout on the by being there firsthand. I'm not the best storyteller. I don't think anyway. So, Awesome. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for being on.